YTPC, it's your old Uncle Butter coming right back at you. So, I realized today that many of you have asked for some information, and I haven't actually given it to you yet, so I thought maybe now would be an appropriate time to do that. A lot of you have been asking about my mom and what's been going on with her health. So, I thought I'd load up my Cavalier care of the Mod Piper. If you're interested, go check his channel out. That's the Mod Piper. He's part of the YTPC Young Guns. So I'm going to use it just as appropriate that he uses the tamper that he included. So today is probably one of the harder days that I've ever had in my life. And give me a couple minutes and I'll explain to you why. Excuse me. For the last, it's 7 years. I mean, I've been doing the math and moving the abacus beads back and forth and the whole thing. It's been 7 years that we've been a primary caretaker for my mom, Ellen. In that 7 years, she had some major events that we had to do various levels of caregiving for. Now, if anyone who's watching this has never been a caregiver, I have a dear friend that lives in California that has a son that is disabled, and he's a primary caregiver for him, and he and his wife and their other two sons did a wonderful job taking care of him. But they know what it is to take care of somebody, a total take care. I've had some family members that were not my mom that we've cared for, and it's a harrowing experience. It really is a harrowing experience. I'm oftentimes reminded of a story of a young gentleman that used to work in the machine shop with us. We'll call him John because that was his name. I remember us telling John about caregiving, and he just kind of had a blank stare on his face. He says, I could never, I think I told the story before, but sorry. I could never take care of my mom like you're taking care of your mom, Fred. And I said, well, then I guess you don't love your mom. And it's one of those things that kind of just blurts out. But it's true, because if you love someone, you're willing to do anything for them. So that's just a wonderful built-in component of love, I suppose. Kind of that pure agape love. I've really been able to enjoy aromatics out of this pipe. 19 years I've been a pipe smoker. I've had all various shapes and sizes and smoked a whole bunch of different blends. I was on aromatics to begin with, and then I was off to them basically to Englishes and some Burleys and Virginias. Not too much vapors until the last couple of years, but things that I had forgotten about and learned, like, that's not for Uncle Butter, I've really been able to enjoy that. So if you ever get a chance to get yourself a longer stemmed pipe, a Church Warden, a Cavalier, whatever, I would encourage you highly to do that. If you're first starting out smoking, you can get a corncob pipe cheap, but you can spend a couple bucks and find somebody that's modded something like this, and it's a wonderful thing. So 7 years we've been taking care of my mom. She had we learned how to learn about wound care. We had to learn about caring for PICC lines. We had to learn about how to deal with somebody with psychiatric issues. It's been the whole gambit. Broken bones. It's been unique, but specifically since last May the 6th, we've been dealing with her being a victim of strokes and dementia, and the early onset version of dementia, Alzheimer's. It's not been terribly fun, I'll tell you that much. And if you're looking, the voting is always still open, but if you're looking to cast your vote for a daughter-in-law of the millennia, you can just go ahead and put Lisa Butter down. Because my wife has redefined love of a family that she married into. I love her very, very dearly, and the fact that she's been so willing to help and jump in and share the burden with this is just tremendous. So it makes you realize you chose the right mate when such pure love can be given toward a mother-in-law, because we all know kind of the societal um, understanding between mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws. Sometimes it's not as pretty as it could be. So May 6th, she had for her first transient ischemic attack, also known as a TIA, also known as a mini stroke. She lost right side function for about 25 minutes, and then she regained it all back. And over the course of the last, however many months it's been, she steadily declined and steadily declined and steadily declined, to the point where she was a total lift, the point where she couldn't feed herself, the point where she could not help in the bathroom or in the shower whatsoever. So last Sunday, with the Sunday previous, we actually had to call the ambulance to assist us. First time. That was unique. Now, I can't say enough good about volunteer firefighters, EMTs, and even paid emergency services and their personnel. I can't say enough good about them. They were here promptly, very promptly. I called at 11 p.m. and the first people were on the scene in less than 5 minutes. So it's unbelievable. I got her to the hospital. What had happened was she'd obviously had some kind of a stroke or an event of low blood pressure, and she wasn't able to regain that. Took her to the hospital, got her straightened out, where she had apparently had a very bad urinary tract infection, which had been something that she had been prone to. So we've been trying to, watch out for that by, just basically baptizing her with freedom every day. Almost waterboarding her, just water. Hydration is the word of the day every day. And she still got it. So she stayed in the hospital for about 10 days this last stint. She'd been to rehab twice last year for issues and complications of the stroking. And the insurance decided that enough was enough, and they were not going to pay for any more rehabilitative services. So we were faced with the decision that it was harrowing, but we were mentally and emotionally prepared for the inevitability of what happened today, which was to finally put her in permanent residence in a skilled nursing facility. It was tough. Because we did our best. We did our best. We did. I mean, without going and formally taking nursing classes and knowing some of the things that, say, for instance, Shonda Billy Goes Cobb's wife, Queen Cobb, knows that I wouldn't, just because I'm not a professional. I know in my heart that my wife and I did the best we could. So it's a terrible decision to have to make. It was one that my mom knew was coming. It's the blood pressure. That's the problem. We can't regulate that. We don't have telemetry here at the house. We can't monitor that. We could get a cuff and we could do it every once in a while, but if it was low, hey, what the hell are we supposed to do? Call the ambulance. I'm not feeling too great about the medical industry in the country at this moment in time, but I can absolutely tell you that the individual people on the ground are normally of a high and ennobling character. The people that are actually doing the caregiving at the hospital, the doctors and the nurses, and even down to the janitors and whatnot, they do a pretty good job because they're on the ground. They're not sitting in some, corporate suite on Fifth Avenue or wherever. We did what we could for as long as we could, and we would have gone forever. But she finally got bad enough that we couldn't do it anymore, so we had to give in. And it was the right decision. It is the right decision. She is cared for wonderfully there. It's a good facility. with a wonderful reputation in the area. And I know the medical director of that facility because you've heard me talk on other videos about a man that was very much a father to me, Daniel E. Doc Hammett. He started the business that I work for. He was very much a father to me, and he has one child, a daughter, but I was kind of one of 3 sons that he never had. Just past a year that he had gone to be with the Lord himself. His brother is a doctor. His father is a doctor. And his brother, Jim, is the medical director at this facility that my mom's at. And he believes that the staff is of a high character. So I went with what Uncle Jim said, and we placed her there. We feel good about the decision. But I know some of you are caregivers. I know some of you are going to have to be caregivers at some level, and some of you are not going to want to do it at all. And I'm not saying anything disparaging about any of those decisions. You do what you feels right, of course. Like old Obi-Wan says, you must do what feels right, of course. I come from a long line of people that take care of their people until they can't anymore. And on Sunday last, we hit it like a brick wall. And then 10 days after that, so then now we're talking like Tuesday, this past Tuesday, when the insurance says enough is enough, we're not going to pay for any more rehabilitative care. She doesn't have much that she can gain back. She's kind of got to just go and be in the home. So my mom and I have had a wonderful relationship. She was a fantastic mother. She was always very good to me, and as much as she can still be good to me, she is. She has always been a seeker of truth and a teller of truth, so much so that it makes people feel, has always made people feel very uncomfortable to be around her, because she is, as much as she can be still, very, very plain spoken, and that puts people off. It just does. It puts people off because people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear that. They want to be, smoke and mirrors and Hollywood, and my mom just cut the bullshit her whole entire life. She just, whatever. She still cuts the bullshit, even when she's been in these rehab facilities. And when we visited her today, she was, joking around as much as she could, but she's there, but she's not there. You know what I mean? We are prepared, and yesterday, so this is late Friday night, so I saw her Thursday and Friday. She told me that she was not afraid to die, and that she many years ago, but still continues to believe that Jesus Christ is her personal Savior, and has accepted Him into her heart. So I don't know what else to say, folks. The funeral's ready to go. The dress is picked out, and everything is squared away. So we try our best, and we feel that we did a good job. We feel that we did an exemplary job, and so much so that Uncle Jim said that we did do a wonderful job. But I would urge you all, if you haven't got the opportunity, to say the things that are on your heart to somebody that you love, or somebody that you wish you could love. Maybe there's a family member that you're not in a good way with. Maybe there's a coworker that you work with for years. Maybe there's a member of a fellow member of an organization that something's laying in your heart. You got to get those things out, and you got to get those things, floating in the air. And my mom and I have, since March 16th, 1980, when I was born, we have been extremely honest with one another. She embodied the type of mother that said, you just tell us the truth and it'll be okay. And over the years, when I did stupid stuff like every child does, she was always so much more forgiving and so much more willing to be loving and kind to me, much more even freely than she already was when she knew I was telling the truth. That's left a big impact on me, for certain. I would urge you, again, if you there is a family member, or if there is somebody that you know that you haven't squared the logbook with, why don't you go ahead and do that today? Why don't you go ahead and do that today? You might say, oh, well, I don't need to do this, or I got all the time in the world here, whatever. I'm reminded of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and, through that scene with Chris Crafts in the Grand Canal in Venice, and Indiana Jones is, finally gets ashore, and what he thought was an antagonist is actually a member of what's called the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword, and he says, "My soul's prepared, Dr. Jones. How about yours?" My soul's prepared. So's hers. We love each other. We've had a wonderful relationship. The Lord is going to decide when she's going to go be in permanent residence. That's all you can say, and that's all you can do. So I've heard a lot of, well, it is what it is, Fred. It is what it is. It is what it is, but it's also, a tremendous thing to go through. When you have to, be that power of attorney, and you have to, that medical and financial power of attorney for someone. The roles finally pass through one another, and getting 180 out from one another where they used to be. It's interesting. Now I'm married, I have a wife and 2 children, and the torch has quite literally been passed to the new generation here at Castle Butter. It's quiet in the house without her. Her TV's not on, her light's not on in her room. It's different without her here. Caring for someone multiple times a day for 7 years, and then within 2 hours, that stops. And then 2 days later, the admission papers today, Friday, were signed. So, a couple more pieces of paper, and she's good. A couple things to prove about her pension here, or prove about Social Security there, and she's done. Luckily, it's a location that's easily accessible for me coming home from work. It's only about 3 or 4 miles out of my way to come home. So from the shop, because I plan to go see her several times a week and just keep up on her. And Jim and I have a personal relationship, so he feels comfortable to call me and kind of cut the crap and tell me what's going on. So. Kind of a downer video. I apologize, but I know some of you have definitely been wondering what's going on. So, if you held out this far, I appreciate it. And if you've sent me a personal message or whatnot, asking about this, I sure do appreciate it. I sure do. It gets me right here. It really does. I want to shout out one YTBC member in particular right now, because I think what she's done with her 100 sub goal was of a very high character. I'm speaking, of course, of Skook with a Uke 13. She had some complications with her 100 sub giveaway, and she rectified it in a very wonderful way. Not only did she redraw that, but she actually added prizes, and just wonderful. And it's good to see that there's some it's always good to see how good the people are in the YTPC. Somebody says they're going to do something, they don't. Miscommunication happens. We can review something, and everyone's happy. As long as everybody's safe, warm, and happy at the end of the day, then that's, I guess, what we all kind of strive for. That's what I strive for. 51%. I know it's a low thing to get, but you think about your days and you're like, that day wasn't half bad. That was more than half good. That was pretty good. It could all end today. The meteor could hit, and that wouldn't be too bad. I think a lot of us go through life and we're making 10, 12% a lot of days. And, I think if you can just shoot for that old 5-1, if you can shoot for that 51% good, on your zero sum total every day, as a minimum, you're doing great. You really are. So call your mom today. Tell your mom that you love her, and make sure that she knows that, so that she can rest easy. So, and whilst you're doing that, when you're out in the universe, if you can help it, try not to hurt it. Uncle Butter signing off.